there is a very important question to ask. What is the right decision? Did Joel make the right choice, or did he not? Would you have done that, or would you not? People talk about that for 13 years, since the game came out. No one knows what is the
number of
correct
confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
There are hundreds and hundreds of bodies lining the streets.
Panic spread worldwide after a leaked report from the World Health Organization showed that the latest vaccination tests have failed.
With the bureaucrats out of power, we can finally take the necessary steps.
Los Angeles is now the latest city to be placed under martial law. All residents are required to report to their designated quarantine. Riots have continued for a third consecutive day, and winter rations are at an all-time low.
A group calling themselves the Fireflies have claimed responsibility for both attacks.
Their public charter calls for the return of all branches of government.
Demonstrations broke out following the execution of 6 more alleged Fireflies.
You can still rise with us. Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Believe in the Fireflies.
Welcome to the new episode of our podcast, Spoiler Alert, with today's episode, which is about the game The Last of Us. In this episode, me, Dominic, and Eric are gonna talk about the first game. So this is part 1 of a podcast series. And the next time we're gonna cover the second game. So let us start with the story. The story begins with the prologue, in which we get to know Joel, his daughter Sarah, and Tommy. It starts with a night at their home, and afterwards, when Sarah wakes up at night, something happened. She doesn't know what, but then they have to run to their car. Her uncle Tommy, and so the brother of Joel, picks them up, and they try to drive away. And they see that some chaos takes place in the city, and what we get to know later is that a zombie apocalypse, or they're not really called zombies, but zombie-like beings, attack them. And in the end of the prologue, Sarah doesn't make it, so she dies, and Joel and Tommy survive. So this is the first part of the game, and let us just talk about it a little quick before we continue with the story. So what did you think about the prologue as an introduction to one of our main characters, and overall to the infection virus?
It was very beautiful.
I also liked how they drove away, and we gradually saw what is going on in the world, and that it's not safe anymore, and that something happens. But I like that it's kind of a mystery, so we don't get to know from the beginning what happens. And I think their drive was quite interesting, and then they landed to the city.
One thing I also really liked, the reference from the first scene and the last scene in the prologue, where Joel has birthday and Sarah gives him the watch, and in the last scene of the prologue, where Sarah dies and Joel has her in his hands, you can see the watch is broken because the soldier shot it. So yeah, I think that is also a great reference.
I think the Sarah's death was a strong beginning, and
Yes.
even though we didn't know her for very long,
It was very sad.
Yes, it was very emotional. And for, of course, Joel's acting and his performance was very good, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Joel and Ellie's acting are top.
But we will talk about that later. So let us continue. After this, it goes on 20 years later, where we see Joel, who is, of course, older, but still carries his watch. And we get to know Tess, who is kind of his girlfriend, and we see their life in the city, and they are searching. So there's a zone with soldiers, and they have to sneak out because it's more like a prison, and they're not really free in there. And then they go to the illegal part of the city where they've a group called the Fireflies, or other people who don't behave like the soldiers wanted to are. And so there they are searching for Robert. He has weapons that belong to Joel and Tess. So they search him, and they find him, and he tells them, after a fight and so on, he tells them that he gave their weapons away to the Fireflies, which is kind of a terrorist group, I think we can say. So Joel kills him, but then another person comes called Marlene, and she offers them to give their weapons back, but they just can get them back if they take a little girl, who's the second protagonist, Ellie, and they have to take her to California, I think, or was it California?
It was Salt Lake City.
City.
No.
No, California.
They didn't know where they have to take her.
They didn't know where, but they had to take her because something was special about her. They didn't know at first. And then they decide, okay, they will take her. She's a tough little girl, 14 years old. And when they break out of the city, or out of the gates where the quarantine zone is, they see that she was bitten by a infected person. So normally she would have to turn within 24 hours, but her bite is already some weeks old, so she's special. She is immune, and that is why Marlene wants them to take her to Salt Lake City. So before we go on with the story in the city, how did you like the introduction of Ellie?
Ellie's introduction was, I don't know, for me it was pretty random. I wouldn't have thought that she's the second most important character, second protagonist, yes. But yeah, in the end she became a very important and a very great character. But I still have one question. Why did they even want the weapons? Do you know that? I forgot that.
I think this is also kind of a plot hole because they don't ever talk about it again. Yeah. And in the end is also not mentioned, so I think it's just they needed something or some story device to bring Joel and Tess to Ellie, and this was how they did it. And they also could introduce the fighting against Robert, so the player knows how they have to fight and so on. So yeah, I think that with the weapons is not so good.
But it was the most boring part of the story, I think. The whole thing with Robert. Then it got better when we found out that Ellie is immune. I like the zombie part very much, where the zombies got introduced. But
yeah, we will come to that.
I really think it's funny how Joel and Tess wanted the weapons, but when we progress in the story, Joel gets anyway so many weapons he couldn't even carry them. But it's a game, of course. So,
yeah, that's true.
And still he does it. It's just a fun detail, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's go on with the part in the city where the three of our main protagonists up to that point are on the run from the military, but then they have to go through skyscrapers and so on, and there they encounter the normal infected, but also advanced zombies called clickers, and yeah, they have to come to a big hall of the city where they are supposed to meet Marlene, but when they arrive there, she's not here. And then Tess admits, so Joel's girlfriend, that she got bitten. So when they see that the military arrives and found them, Tess
Stays
stays behind and sacrifices herself, so that Joel and Ellie can go away because she would die anyway. And this leads to Joel taking Ellie alone and them leaving the city and entering the next part of the story. So I think personally that this city part, for mainly with the skyscrapers and, as you mentioned already, the introduction of the zombies or infected, was quite nice. I enjoyed it. I think it was beautiful in the PS5 version, which we both played. And I think that Tess, I mean, I didn't really like her, but she had a fine death, and so yeah, I think that was a quite well done part of the game.
I like that in every section of the story, I could say, so in summer, fall, winter, and spring, everything had its own beauty somehow. The summer part, especially after the thing with Bill, it was so dark and everything, but still it was beautiful. And then later, of course, the spring and winter part, they had also their own beauty.
Yeah, I think it's a very beautiful game. The PS3 version, which is the original version, was already quite beautiful for the PS3 era, but of course the remake version of PS5 is hands down very, very pretty. One of the prettiest games I know, so yeah, that's true. And with that, we go on to one of my personal favorite parts of the story, which is Bill's town.
Oh yeah, mine too.
So this is a town in which a person called Bill, who knows Joel, lives, and Joel and Ellie try to find him. Before that, they encounter several zombies, and it gets very dangerous for them. But in the end, Bill saves them and finds them, and they talk a little bit with him, and Ellie fights with Bill a little bit, and they go on together because Joel wants a car and Bill helps Joel and Ellie to find one, and the story with Bill ends with Joel and Ellie driving away and Bill staying behind. He survives, a wonder for this game. And that was Bill's town. So, how do you like Bill and his story part?
I like Bill mainly because he had this fights with Ellie. It was just funny to see a grown-up man arguing all the time with Ellie. Yeah. And I just think he had a whole town for his own. It was
on his own.
And of course with his gay friend, who is dead, by the way.
That was in the series, because there's a series.
No, it was also in the game.
Yeah, but in the series it was made differently.
Yeah.
But we won't spoil it.
Of course. And yeah.
Yeah, I think there were so many funny sections, and I think this is really a top 3 story part of the game. Saying it like this, like recapping it, it doesn't sound that interesting, but it is entirely different, of course, the experience when you play it.
Yes, and the part where there was also the first brother.
Yeah, the first bloater or blooder, which is a very big zombie or infected, that got introduced in this part. This is, of course, for some players. Yeah. I personally don't need them, but some players like to have bigger opponents. So yeah. And now let's go on to the next section, which I personally also like, mainly the ending, but this is one that is quite long, and in my opinion this is a too long story section. And coming back to Bill's town, which was a perfectly long story section, I think.
I would say that it is 2 parts. I wouldn't say that it is one story section.
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I mean, it depends how you say it.
I think the first part ends when they meet Sam and Henry.
Yeah, I mean so story wise, the first part is not that interesting. Joel and Ellie drive in the city of Pennsylvania, or in some city in
Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they get they meet bandits who try to kill them and rob them, but they fight their way through them and so on. And that was funny to play, but there's not much story. But then they get to know Henry and Sam. They are two brothers, and so then begins this kind of second part of this story part, and they fight together with Henry and Sam against these bandits. They get out of the city. They have to go through a sewer system and so on, and in the end, they make it and get away. But when they get to know each other a little bit, and they like each other, Ellie and the little brother Sam also get on quite well, and Ellie has finally someone in her age to talk to, but of course there's a problem, and Ellie sees that Sam is bitten, so by an infected. And she decides to not to say anything, but on the next day when they wake up, Sam is turned to an infected, and Henry kills him, but Henry kills also himself because he doesn't want to live anymore because his little brother is gone. So
first of all, Ellie doesn't know that he's infected. That's in the series.
Oh, I mixed it up. Sorry. Spoilers for the series.
So Ellie doesn't know it. They talk about their fears, Sam and Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another interesting thing in this game is that there are always these characters that are just in one story section, and then they're gone, like Tess and Bill and Sam and Henry. But in the end, it's always just the two of them. Yeah.
So Joel and Ellie. Yeah, that's true. I also like most of these. I mean, Bill is my favorite, but also Henry and Sam. Tess I don't really like. But yeah, we will talk about the characters later a little bit. I mean, we covered them quite well now, but there will be a section divided to them. And with that, we come to the next part, which is fall. So up to this point, we had summer. Now we enter fall, where they meet. So Ellie and Joel meet Tommy. He is Joel's brother, and they meet him at a secure spot, where they, talk a little bit and so on. And Joel wants Tommy to take Ellie to a university where
the Fireflies should be.
Yeah, where the Fireflies should be. But when Ellie hears that, she runs away, and Joel finds her, and they talk, which is a very emotional and good scene, because Ellie doesn't want him to abandon her, because she would be just more afraid and so on. And then they talk about loss, and Ellie mentions Joel's daughter Sarah. So that is also a really cool scene, I think. And with that, I'm gonna cover the rest of fall really quick. Joel decides to go with Ellie, and that is that makes her very happy, and they ride off and they find the university, but the Fireflies abandoned that university already. So they found no one there, but they get attacked by some bandits again. Joel gets really injured, and this part ends with him being injured and Ellie having to take care of him. So, let's talk about that.
In this fall part, you could slowly see that Ellie and Joel, that there's growing something between them, I would say. First, you could first see it when they get ambushed in Tommy's dam, and Ellie is with Maria, and Tommy and Joel are together fighting them. And then at the end, when they meet, where I don't think that you remember that part, but Ellie like goes up to Joel and tells everything so quickly that Joel doesn't even like know what's going on, and he tries to calm her down. And then later, this conversation in this random house, it is also very beautiful. And then at the end, when Joel gets injured, this is also a thing that only happens once in the game, where he gets injured and where he's slowly dying. I think this part is also very good, and how Ellie takes care of him.
Yeah, it's quite a change of tone and a surprising change of stakes also, because it looks like he's not gonna survive. But that gets us to our next part, Winter, where we see that Ellie, where we at the beginning don't know if Joel survived. We see just Ellie, who meets a guy called David. They talk a little bit, and they fight together against zombies. And he tells her that some of his men died because a crazy man who was with a little girl, which is Ellie, killed some of their men. So the people who attacked them in the university were the men of David. And that is why David also searches for Ellie and Joel after their fight against the infected. But Ellie hides, and she goes out and wants to find medicine. But she gets captured by David and his men. And she finds out that they are cannibals. So yeah, she doesn't return, and that is why Joel wakes up. And he searches for Ellie. He fights himself brutally through David's men. And while that happens, Ellie fights against David because she escapes her cell. And they have a epic boss fight. And she kills him at the end. And Joel returns to her, which is also a emotional scene. And the two of them go away. And that is the end of the winter part.
The winter part is a part which you want to play only once in the game. It is very different from the rest because, it's just Ellie and you play a little girl in winter. But I think the part is very good, but it's not something I would want to replay again. And especially the most from all these parts. But this boss fight with David, this is a masterpiece, of course. It's very unique, and it's just, you can see that it is made by I don't know, how do you say,
a team of choreographers.
Yes, definitely. And then when Joel steps in and Ellie cries in his arms, this is also a very emotional scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also really like that. We are gonna talk about which is our favorite part later. But now let us finish off the story, finally, with spring. So this is the final section. It is the arrival at Salt Lake City Hospital. First, they travel to the city, see giraffes, which is a beautiful scene. They go on. Ellie nearly dies. But yeah, they make it in the end. But Marlene, who wanted Joel to take Ellie, tells Joel that Ellie has to die because they are trying to make a cure for the infection virus. But for that, she has to die because it is in her brain, the cure, And Joel then decides to make a very interesting choice. He kills everyone in the hospital and saves Ellie, which is a very big dilemma across fans since years, because they talk about if he made the right decision or not, also because of what happens in part 2 after that. And yeah, he saves Ellie. They finish off the story nearly in the town where Tommy lives, and Ellie asks him if he said the truth, because he told her that there were other immune people and it didn't work with no one, and they said it's not possible. but she has her suspicions, but she ends off the game with saying okay to what Joel promised her. So, what is your thought about this ending?
The ending, wow, it was quite an ending that really like made me just stare at the
Screen?
at the screen. I couldn't believe that it was the end. It was so sad. I wanted to play more, and only half a year later we played The Last of Us Part 2, which was also dumb. We should have played it instantly, but yeah. What I want to say too is we don't really talk about the gameplay in this podcast, but I just think it's funny that Joel killed 3 blooders at once. 3 blooders. And yeah, also the beauty in this, like the scene with the
Giraffes, yeah.
with the giraffes, yeah,
That was really beautiful.
that was amazing, and you really could see that Joel likes Ellie in this part, that he doesn't want to lose her, and when she's drowning, yeah, that was also emotional. When he even tried to save her, even though there were soldiers who could have killed him. Yeah, and the ending, I don't really know what to say, because he is a tough guy.
Yeah, I think because there are so many arguments about Joel's decision and choice, I think it's rationally the wrong choice, of course, because they could have been made a cure. But of course, subjectively, when you play as Joel, you understand it, because Joel doesn't want to lose another daughter, because he lost Sarah already. So it makes really much sense for his character, and that is why it is a really good ending, because it fits the character. And yeah, so I think it's also a very good ending to a very good game. We are gonna rate it later, but now, if you don't have to say anything else to this one, let us talk about which is maybe our least favorite and our favorite part. Let us talk about like summer, summer, fall, winter, and spring, like how we would rank them
Yes,
maybe.
Before we move on to that, I just want to say one more thing, that I also like the scene how Marlene dies. So we don't know what happens, but then it like skips you. So Joel goes out from the elevator, and there stands Marlene, sorry, yeah, Marlene, pointing a gun at Joel, but then it's like skips and they're in the car, and we don't know what happened, but then we slowly see what
really happens, yeah.
Then we slowly see what really happens, and how he shoots Marlene, and yeah. But now let's move on to the which is our favorite part.
Yeah. I have to say, to begin with, that my least favorite part is, I think, pretty easily fall, because there is one very good scene, which we talked about in the house when they talked about loss and abandonment and so on. But other than that, the section with Tommy and the university, I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the other 3 parts. So that is quite easily my least favorite part of the game.
Yes, I would agree with you here on this one, definitely. It's a short part, because we come from summer, which is the longest part.
By far the longest.
By far, yes. And then there's like such a short part. But yeah, I still like the end of the fall. It was one of the best from all the sections.
Yeah. But then, in my opinion, this is quite really hard, to be honest, because summer is so long, and it has many parts which are the worst parts, but also many which are the best parts of the game. So I don't know about this one, but I think that my 3rd place is summer.
I don't really know. I do agree with you here, because there are boring parts in summer, but there are also very good parts in summer. But I think I might go with you here again.
Okay. Yeah, and now top two. So this is very hard. It's winter or spring.
You know, in spring, it is just the end is very very good, but the I don't know, the gameplay, it's just not so special, I would say. But there are beautiful scenes. But the end, yes, with the hospital thing, it's a great last mission for a game. I don't really know.
So what is your second place?
I would say winter, because I already said that winter is a part which you play only once.
Yeah, I wanted to say that because you said it. Yeah.
And yeah, it's top. Everything is top in this game, and that there is a new main villain, David, and it is about surviving the winter part. I love it.
Yeah,
Still.
in my opinion, I would also agree. So we have the literally the same ranking.
Really?
I think winter is special for this game because it's so different. Because we play Ellie, and I think David is a great addition to the story of the game. But I just love the ending of the game, and always when the ending is good, it makes the whole game better. Better to have a bad beginning than a bad ending. So the ending is always one of the most important things story-wise to me, and that is why I love spring, and that is why I would say it's the best part.
Yes, and I just think it's a bit dumb that we we're rating it in summer, fall, winter, and spring.
Yeah.
Because Bill's Town, it is very very good gameplay wise.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. So I would put it also very very high.
Yeah, I think
If we-
for really the smaller sections, I would say Bill is maybe even my favorite one.
Yeah.
And of course the hospital at the ending. But it was easier to rank as the whole spring, summer, and so on parts. That's why I chose to do it like that. But let us finish off the story part with a story rating to end all things. So how many points out of 10 would you give this story?
Honestly, I always said it is a 10 out of 10 story, but when you look at the details, how we already also talked right now about that, there are some
Minor
ups.
issues.
Yes,
Yeah.
minor issues where the game is a little boring, not boring, but just a little bit. So I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, so I'm gonna agree with you on this one. But so I don't want us to have the same always, so I'm gonna be a little stricter. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Because of course, as you said, we have to take into account that there are just some parts that are not up to the levels of Bill's Town or St. Mary's Hospital. Mainly, I would say the very beginning after
Yes.
the prologue is one of those parts. So and also the whole Pennsylvania part was just a little too long for my taste. So I think it's very good. A very, very good game. One of the best. Overall, we're going to talk about what we think. But story-wise, I just have to give it 9 points. And of course, it is also a typical concept. A older, wiser man with a younger kid. That is like, her teacher. That is also a typical concept, kind of a trope. So it's also not that special, but the characters make it special. So with that, let us go on to the characters. We already mentioned quite a lot of them, so just let us talk about this one a little quicker. What do you think about Joel and Ellie as our our protagonists, because I personally think that they make a great duo, but I think that Joel is especially a great character in this one, opposing to Ellie being the main character or the more important character in the second part. And I do enjoy it. I like Joel, and I love his how he changes because of Ellie. Because before her, he was a heartless character, and through her, he gained back this love that he once felt.
Ellie has this influence on her. She's always so positive and energetic, like a teen, of course. And Joel is like this, I don't care about what happens. But Ellie, like, she shows him life again. And it's just so beautiful, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we already said pretty much everything about them. So let us continue with some of the side characters. First, we have Tess.
Nobody really likes Tess. She's just...
I don't know why, but I mean, she was a fine character. I just also kind of didn't like her. I don't know.
Her way was a bit...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, now Bill, I think he is a great character.
As I already said, Bill's character is like this good because of Ellie. Without Ellie, we won't know so much about him. We won't know his
character traits.
Side. Yes.
I think I mean, I just love this part of the story. Then Henry and Sam, I do think they are both nice additions, and with the climax being very good, this emotional ending, and just seeing kind of another duo like Ellie and Joel. I think it was quite nice.
And even though Henry was Sam's brother, he was more like a father figure to him, I think.
Yeah.
And he also behaved like that, because of course Sam, I don't believe that he got to know his father, and
then we have Tommy, who appears a little bit in this part. He is more important in part 2. I think in this part I don't really have to say much about him, because there wasn't much. He was there for just a while, so...
Yes, and I like his talking way. I always liked it. He has this...
Yeah, his accent is funny, that's true.
And, I hate his long hair in the first part.
I don't remember that.
He has, to his shoulder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, in the second part he has good hair. Yeah, okay, then, as a main villain, David...
Ooh, he was a psycho. I liked his character.
Totally,
yeah. He was a psycho, yeah.
Yeah, it was just crazy, and the boss fight was, I think, very well done. So that is one thing that I remember about him especially. And of course the thing with cannibalism, which is a moral dilemma. Should they do that or not? Because, I mean, it's a different age... No, not age. It's just a different time than our normal present. So the question is, of course, if it is morally acceptable or not.
And the fact that he was a psycho, and he tried to be so kind to Ellie, but in the end he showed his true side.
Yeah, it was quite a good twist, and I think that was pretty well done. Yeah. And to finish up this section, I also think that it is crucial to talk about the dialogue when you talk about the characters, because I think the dialogue between them was always very well done.
Yes,
and
definitely.
The different voices, what they talked, mainly Joel and Ellie, what they talked about, and so I think that was also a part that uplifted the quality of the game.
Yes, and there are also important conversations between Joel and Ellie during the actual gameplay, not only during the cutscenes,
Yeah.
which many people don't even realize or experience because they're like speedrunning the game.
Yeah.
So you also have to listen carefully during, I don't know, killing zombies.
Yeah, it's not just a normal story game. I think it's very special. To sum up the character section, how many points? What would be your rating of the characters?
Yeah, definitely 10.
Yeah, I would also say a 10 when it comes to this one. Because, yeah, just the main characters are great. And the side characters, there's so many memorable side characters. So I think this really deserves a 10 from me.
Yes.
So let's continue with our next part, the setting part. We already, of course, talked a little bit about that, but just let us go through the main settings that we have. It is the city setting, Billstown, Pennsylvania City. What is it called? Pittsburgh City. Tommy.
Tommy's Dam and
Yeah.
the city.
Thomas Dam, and then the city with the university. Then this winter town with David, and to finish off Salt Lake and St. Mary's Hospital. So, which one maybe is which are your favorites and your least favorites? We don't have to mention every one of those, but what sticks out or stands out?
Yeah, what stands out is the first one, where the big city with the
skyscrapers, which
Yes.
are I think that
destroyed
is
houses.
really
I don't know. Is it Boston still? Is it still Boston?
It is Boston, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Boston, and Billstown. It was so green. If I had to give every city a color, then it would be green. In Billstown, everything was grown in with plants and
I think setting wise, the city with the skyscrapers, that is a perfect beginning setting. I think Billstown as a setting is not that good because it doesn't look very special or so. But as a gameplay, it was very fine, and with Bill. But as a setting, I didn't like it as much.
Yes, and Salt Lake City, it was so, I don't know, for me it was so random to see this there was a huge mountain in the far, I don't know, in the far...
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the background.
Yeah.
But I think I quite liked Salt Lake and the hospital.
Especially the scenery when there were the giraffes.
Yeah, that was very beautiful. So that stands out when you think about Salt Lake. So I think that was quite beautiful.
The most boring one was the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would also agree.
There was just a city.
Yeah, it was just like the beginning city, just not that epic. And of course then Tommy's
Dam.
Tommy's Dam. I also didn't like that one as much. And the winter setting, I think setting wise, it's not even that epic. This part, I really like them, and they looked fine, but it's not as epic as it could be. I think because it's a little, some are quite the same. But I think maybe as a favorite, I would pick the first one with the city. That was really outstanding.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which one I liked. Most of them, they were not so very, very good, but overall I would give it a 8 out of 10 rating for this setting. But it's not something that I really
value as much.
Yeah, and it doesn't really value as much as the story or the characters.
Yeah, I would still give it a 9 out of 10 because I think compared to many other games, it's still very good, very well worked out, and it is so many different settings, so it's logical still that they are a little repetitive. I would give it a 9. And to sum it all up, our overall rating for The Last of Us would be what? Out of 10.
10.
10. But you gave the story a 9.5,
Yes.
characters
But
a 10, and
I-
the setting an 8. So why is it still a 10 for you?
It's still perfect. We didn't talk about. Yeah. I mean, basically, you're right, but it's still so. Compared to other games, it's still so good that I can't give it a lower than 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand that.
All right. Yeah, for me, it is a 9.5. I think it's still one of the best of all time, and I have one game that we maybe will talk about that would be a 10 for myself. But other than that, I have never played a game that is better than The Last of Us 1, and of course my favorite game of all time. I think story-wise it's nearly perfect. But compared to other games, I think it is perfect. But I I compare it more to movies or series than to games, because this is more than game for me. And yeah, characters are perfect, and story setting is nice, and the dialogue is just so good. So for me, personally, it is more like a movie. And compared to all the movies and a series, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, and maybe as a last finish, what was your favorite scene of The Last of Us 1?
My favorite scene. So, I'm right now thinking of the scene in Fall where Joel and Ellie have their very emotional conversation, but every Joel and Ellie scene had its own beauty, and I also like the one in Winter when I think I would say the one in Winter when Ellie killed David with the knife. Very brutal. And then Joel runs in while the house is burning, and he takes Ellie in his arms, and I just think.
Yeah, these were beautiful, but for me personally, there are two other scenes that I like more. First of all, there's the ending,
Yeah, I forgot that, but
which
yeah.
is just a perfect ending to a game. I mean, I would argue that part 2 has an even better ending, but we will talk about that.
The very very last scene, the conversation between Joel and Ellie, it could have been a little more epic, and then it would have been the best scene, I would think.
Yeah.
Say.
But my personal favorite scene is the giraffe scene, to be honest, because it is just beautiful, and they're also talking a little bit, so there is a dialogue, and it's just like we have arrived at our destination, and now we see how beautiful the world is, and everything is fine, and so, and yeah, of course, then comes the reveal with she has to die and so on, but yeah. So I think that would be my number one scene.
Yes. It's just, it's such a I don't know how to say. It's almost a horror game because there are the zombies, and still there is this beauty, this, like, for example, the giraffe scene. So
Yeah.
it shows that even in bad situations, something can be beautiful.
Yeah, there's always good.
Yeah.
There's always light in the darkness. But to finish off this episode, there is a very important question to ask. What is the right decision? Did Joel make the right choice, or did he not? Would you have done that, or would you not? People talk about that for 13 years, since the game came out. No one knows what is the correct answer. What do you think?
As a huge The Last of Us fan, I have to say that Joel did the right thing. But not only because, Joel and Ellie were such a good team, and it would have been sad if she died, not because of that, but there are all logically explanations. So, first of all, Ellie was right. Joel shouldn't have done the decision for himself, but so shouldn't the Fireflies have done it. They should have asked Ellie if what was her decision, but they did the decision for her, and so did Joel. But so they're both wrong, the Fireflies and Joel. And second of all, even though if even there would have been a cure then there would still be the zombies out there. They would have they must have killed them all, and would have been just so impossible to kill every zombie.
Yeah, alright. So, this was the final question of our podcast today. Thank you, Eric, for joining me today. Next time we will have an episode with Hannah, of course, but today she was not available, sadly. And be happy for, or be thrilled for part 2, in which we will cover the second game of this franchise with me and Eric again. And thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying. Please leave a like, subscribe, and write a comment if you liked our podcast today. And stay tuned for the next one.